Thank you very much for joining us. To those who have just recently joined us, I'm Paweł from Creative Poland.
I am Agnieszka with Hilton, in charge of a couple of hotels in Poland, including DoubleTree by Hilton Krakow.
Yeah, and as you know, the topic is obviously green events in Krakow. And, our aim is to maybe not, pretend to be super specialists on, on sustainability and green events, but, share our views, share our experience, and share what we have discovered so far, what options, what solutions, and share with you, because we really think that sustainability is going to be the topic and the main theme, or at least one of the main themes of the events in the coming years. That the ongoing COVID pandemic is some kind of a restart for our industry, and quite a few reports mention something that we are going now from from a linear economy where we basically produce and dispose of things to something like more of a circular economy, when we use things in a way that are recycled, reuse, and that everything creates a great circle of life, basically. And this is the idea behind this presentation, to show you what can be done in Krakow, in the hotel, as an example of the key venue and the hotel in Krakow, DoubleTree by Hilton, and what solutions can be adopted when it comes to the transportation, incentives, and venue solutions. And by this, we want to introduce the green events and sustainable MICE concept that we will talk about in a second. But firstly, some of you might not have been to Krakow, may not have heard about it, obviously. So we will try to tell you, some basic things about the city. Well, basically, Krakow is located in the very, very heart of Europe, at the south of Poland. It's reachable within 2 hours of a flight from most of European destinations, which is actually great because it's a similar flying time. And many claim that the less we fly, the less carbon footprint we leave while flying. So in this case, it's good. And Krakow is a historical location where, as you can see on this slide, there are many advantages of this as a destination. It being very close logistically, with the airport being just 25 minutes away from the city center. The city center in the old town is actually available to walk on foot or by electric Melix cars, which are sustainable. We will talk about it in the future. And it's got some amazing history, great architecture, and fabulous cuisine. Don't you agree, Agnieszka?
Yeah, that's definitely true. And funnily enough, anybody who lives in Krakow, is from Krakow, would say that there is nothing like an old town in Krakow, because the whole city is old. This is the city, this is one of the cities in Poland that was not destroyed during the Second World War. So you can really feel the origins and the authenticity of the city. So the whole city is old. There is nothing like an old town. There's a main square.
Exactly. And from the logistical point of view, it's quite easy to combine Krakow also with Warsaw or Prague, or even with the Polish mountains. From Warsaw, it's 2 hours by train. From Prague, it's about 4 hours as well. It's possible to do it. And the Polish mountains, it's about 1 hour and 10 minutes, even less so, because there's a motorway being finished just right now over to the mountains. But, talking about a city is like talking about a song that you haven't heard. So we have a little video for you. Just a quick introduction to Krakow as a destination. with the video. It seems that, you know,
it's our day
yes,
today.
it's our day today. So apologies for this. Yeah, and Krakow is obviously a very recognized destination.
It is. And actually, just to name a few, these are the rewards and like recognitions that the city of Krakow received only in 2020. Krakow is one of those cities that are most recognizable when it comes to Poland. I remember whenever I was traveling abroad and I was telling people I am from Poland, majority of people were telling me, Krakow, because it's definitely the city. So you can see that even in this strange year, Krakow was recognized a couple of times, and something that Krakow is really proud of is that it's being noticed as the city of the future, having such a great history behind. It shows that the city is really modern and is going ahead. So that was awarded among 25 tech cities of the future by FDI magazine. And at the beginning of the year, Krakow has appeared as well on the recommendation list that is being done yearly by New York Times as one of the cities that needs to be seen and needs to be visited in 2020. Unfortunately, 2020 is as it is, so hopefully, you know, the Krakow will stay on your list as well for future, for 2021, 2022. And I wanted to tell you a little bit about Krakow as a green city as well, because I'm sure, and I'm not going to lie, everybody knows that Poland and Krakow is one of the cities when is unfortunately on the black list of Europe when it comes to pollution. And this is something that the authorities of Krakow obviously noticed years ago. And number of new initiatives have been implemented in the city. What I really wanted to underline and mention is, first of all, this is carbon-free city. We don't have anymore, we are not using anymore any carbon to heat the city. And obviously in the past, carbon was a base when it comes to heating. So currently it's carbon-free. And there are new exciting solutions. For example, something that is being called a pocket park. Obviously, it's direct translation into English because I really don't know how to call it differently. You can see here in this corner a small green square very close to the areas where, you know, people are living. So in Krakow, they are using every single opportunity to build something green in every spot, just to, you know, build this green scenery around. Another thing which is extremely interesting was implemented last year and hopefully will be continued in the future. You know, this word that every man needs to build a house, plant a tree, and obviously has
it's a Polish proverb, so
has a son.
Not everyone might know it. But
I don't know. I think I heard it in some other countries as well. So that's something that Krakow picked up a couple of years ago. And for the International Women's Day, there's an initiative every year to plant some trees for the families who got a child in this year. And last year, in 2019, 5,000 new trees were planted in the city. There is another interesting solution in some of the parks in Krakow. You can find very high-tech solutions. For example, the benches, which are powered by the solar light. And you can go there with your USB and you can basically power your iPhone, for example, or your mobile phone or your device. So great new initiatives which are happening in Krakow, hopefully, you know, with the aim, obviously, to take off Krakow from this list of polluted cities.
And also on the list, you might see a breathing pavements. I know it sounds quite interesting, a breathing pavement. So indeed, there is an initiative to build a specially prepared surfaces that absorb CO2. And that's also a new initiative. And I was laughing to a friend recently that they should, you know, build some, you know, speaking pavements. Like there is a dog on the pavement or a child, like don't walk on me. So you never know, they might be, you know, invented quite soon. So, you know, I've mentioned at the very beginning, we're going to talk about sustainable solutions. You know, we are part of different DMC networks and representations. And together with our German representative, SDR Promise, who is spearheaded by Carol, who is with us today. We have, at the initiative of Carol and SDR Promise, we have made something called Sustainable Mice. And this is an idea to offer as many green solutions to events, incentives to mice in general as possible. And because of this, we have a list of different sustainability icons that you can see, from effluence and waste and proper disposal of waste to catering, food and beverage, keeping it local, so supporting local communities, to CSR, supply compliance, that you only work with people who are aware and who are, also using the same sustainable techniques in their own companies. So there's a list of different services listed here that you can see. And our aim as a DMC is to use those icons and to proactively offer sustainable solutions in Poland in our offers. So you will see those icons in our presentation later on to kind of mark what is what. But I just want to give you a head start on this and let you know that we are working on this. It's a new initiative, and Carol, once again, thank you very much for involving us in this, and also some other DMCs from other countries from SDR network. If you go to the SDR website, you will see what other DMCs do this. So we are very happy to be one of the few who have started this and who will be doing this proactively. And when it comes to being sustainable, definitely it is something that we have talked with Agnieszka quite a lot, and that's why we have decided to do this webinar together. And we will try to talk about the event from the very start, from the hotel. Then from the hotel we go to what's around the hotel itself, to the nearby environment. But Agnieszka will give you some of the information on the property and on how green it wants to be and it is at the moment.
Yeah. So basically, it's not about the hotel as a place to organize an event any longer. It's much more than this. And in 2018, when Hilton, as a global company, was celebrating its 100th anniversary, we made a very clear promise and statement. As a company that has over 6,000 hotels all over the globe, nearly 1 million rooms all over the world, obviously, we are having a great impact on our environment. So we said back in 2018 that by 2030, Hilton is willing to, is promised to cut our environmental footprint in half and double social investment by 2030. So this is something that obviously all of us are doing, all our hotels are doing and participating. And I just wanted to show you today what we do and how we can combine it, obviously, with the events that the client and the agency is willing or is organizing in the hotel.
There's only one agency, of course, I'm joking.
Yes, that we have a logo on here. So just a few words about the hotel, because some of you might have heard about it, maybe some of you have been our guests in the past, but just to underline a few important things. First of all, as you saw on the first picture, there are two buildings. So one of them is DoubleTree by Hilton and the other one is Hampton. We can combine both of them, and DoubleTree by Hilton is having a huge conference center, which actually makes us to be the biggest convention hotel in the city of Krakow. We are having the most beautiful and the biggest ballroom in the city, which first of all is nearly 5 meters high. It doesn't have any partitions, it doesn't have any columns, which obviously is important. And it can accommodate in normal times up to 1,000 people in theater style. We have lots of parking space around as well. It's over 100. And as DoubleTree by Hilton, we are obviously providing and offering everything that DoubleTree by Hilton offers all around the globe, which means the cookie that you can see obviously on the picture is a warm welcome for every guest. But obviously, as one of the products is an executive lounge and beautiful spa and wellness area. I've mentioned already about our green initiatives as well. that basically support what I said about global promise given by Hilton. So these are just a few examples that we implemented in our hotel over last years, and something that we are really proud of, looking into saving in energy, saving in water, focus on environment, and focus on our local communities, supporting local communities in different initiatives. And especially when it comes to local communities, that is something that we absolutely can partner with while organizing for every company that is organizing an event in the hotel, because there are many initiatives behind that can be done.
I will only add that, as an agency, as Creative Poland, when we create a sustainable event, our first point of focus will be to get in touch with the hotel. So in this case would be DoubleTree by Hilton, to see what we can do together, because we really think that the future of the meeting industry and sustainability in the meetings industry is all about cooperation, talking about different points, and being as much involved as possible in this. So so we would always create a special checklist for how sustainable an event be, depending on obviously criteria and different needs of a client.
Yeah. And just to give you, a few more words and information about the hotel, it's really located in very great part of the city that is very easy to access. It's 15 minutes from the main square, the main attraction of the city, but it's located in the business area, in the business district of Krakow, very close to the place which is called Tauron Arena that you can see here. It's the huge concert hall, and not only concert hall. We combine very often the events that can be organized in there, because as I mentioned, it's not only a concert hall, it can be a venue for huge conventions. And as we are just, walking distance from them, we are very much working together as well on many initiatives, on many events. And other than this, the hotel is located in the city center. It's not in the suburbs, it's really in the city center, but as I mentioned, it's more on the commercial and business district of the city. And then just, to walk you through some of the pictures, just to give you the idea, look and feel of the hotel. So DoubleTree by Hilton Krakow has nearly 300 bedrooms in different categories that, can meet every need of every customer. Then we are having our restaurant, which is called Fifth Avenue. What is important, and this is something that we will be still talking about later on, the cuisine and the menu that is being served in our Fifth Avenue restaurant is very much based on local products, sustainable as well. Some of them are certified, and what is most important, it's seasonal. So don't expect us to serve strawberries in the middle of winter. We will be serving in the middle of winter vodka and some other stuff, but definitely not fresh strawberries. There's as well a lounge bar and library that can be used as well for, welcome reception or some gathering during the conference itself. And then, as I mentioned before, DoubleTree is offering as well executive lounge. So obviously all our Hilton owners guests are very much welcomed, and they can enjoy, the special treatments that the executive lounge is offering. And we are having as well extensive fitness center and the wellness area that, again, after, working day, after hard day of work during the conference, everybody can enjoy and rest. And nowadays we were talking to Pavel that we are not going to talk about, the sea case, and we are not going to talk about something that is negative, because we are all in it. But obviously I have to mention that because of the COVID situation, Hilton implemented special solutions for all Hilton hotels all over the globe, which is called Clean Stay. And I'm sure that some of you might have seen it before. We implemented a special cleaning protocol for our bedrooms, for our public areas, for the whole hotel, that all our guests and our employees can feel safe. That's the most important word in 2020, being safe. So Clean Stay is one of the programs that obviously our hotel is participating in, and something that is as well extremely important is something that is called Event Ready with Clean Stay. And again, there is a very special protocol of deep cleaning and deep taking care of, even the smallest part, even the electrical sockets in our rooms that need to be cleaned, and making sure that basically the conference room is safe and ready for the guest. It's not only about cleaning. There's as well, very extensive protocol on approaching the conference rooms, avoiding being queuing for food, etc., etc. So I won't be talking about it in details right now, but obviously just bear in mind that we take it extremely seriously, and those protocols are implemented in our hotels as well.
And when it comes to cleaning and sanitizing, I've recently heard a very interesting thing that in Poland, since the start of the pandemic, and since people started washing their hands properly, the sale of pharmaceuticals for stomachache has dropped significantly, up to 85%. So this is the only positive side of washing and cleaning and disinfecting everything.
Yeah.
So interestingly.
But there were as well some studies made in the country that actually hotels are one of the safest areas in the country, comparing to shops and cinemas and restaurants, etc. Hotels are the areas where the guests can really feel safe. And just a few words about the conference area itself, because it's, as I mentioned, it's really the biggest in the city. And what is important, because it's so big, because it's so extensive, we can really organize different kind of events, having, not only conferences, convention, gala dinners, etc., because it's obvious. But what we are doing as well when it comes to the conferences and the events that are being organized, we are having as well a program which is called Meet with Purpose. And Meet with Purpose is something that we are offering to our customers, to our agencies as well, that it can be based on different pillars, because some of people may say, for me, environment is important, and I want to organize a meeting that I can cut and save on water, for example. So we do have solutions for it, because obviously then we are not serving the water in individual bottles. We are organizing water tanks, and obviously then we can organize for the guests, participating guests, we can organize as well some, how you call it?
The water tanks? Or...
No, this one.
Reusable water
bottles
yes.
That we will show you later on, obviously, that can be branded, and people can use it instead of really using individual bottles. And Pavel is messing up with my presentation, sorry. What we are avoiding as well, and what we are suggesting as well during the conference, we are trying to cut off paper. So obviously the notepads and pencils are available during the conferences, but we keep them on site. So who wants to organize, who wants to put some notes, they can obviously do it, but we are not distributing paper all over like we did in the past. So we do have solutions for water saving, for paper saving. And then there are some brilliant ideas about, for example, paper notes that can be organized as well for the conference, and we will show it to you in the future. But before we go there, I just wanted to stop here for a second. This is one of our sous chefs from Krakow.
We'll show you how the Polish dumplings are made. They're not really that difficult.
Sorry, it has to go without the sound. So yeah.
And Unfortunately, he does it very slowly because the presentation is quite big.
Yeah, that's right. It seems like it's a slow motion, guys. So sorry, sorry for this. But actually, when talking about local cuisine and sustainable solutions at the hotel, we have talked about possibility of doing food workshops in the hotel, and as an example, we are showing you the dumpling Polish pierogi workshops. So it's possible to organize it.
Yeah, something that I really wanted to mention, and I said that I would like to stop here for a second, is that obviously the food is extremely important in the hotel, and it's extremely important during the conference. So with the program called Meet with Purpose, we are having as well great solution for healthy food options for the coffee breaks, healthy options for food, and obviously during the conference itself, during the lunch, the people can have some fun. So we can organize, cooking sessions like you can see here with pierogi for a smaller group of people. But obviously there are some other ideas. And as I mentioned before, food is important and the quality of food is important. Poland is very famous for the quality of food because originally we are coming from countryside, and everybody has somebody who lives in the countryside in the family. So that's something that we are praising a lot, having healthy food on our table. So it's not a fashion in Poland, I would say. It's something normal that, I don't know if you know, but Krakow and Warsaw, where we are right now, actually Warsaw last year was awarded as #1 city in the world when it comes to number of vegetarian and vegan restaurants per capita. This is something that is happening in Krakow now, that we are having more and more vegetarian and vegan restaurants. And as I said, healthy food in Poland is not fashion, it's a norm.
Yeah, it is a norm. And I will actually also, we have to stop the video, sorry again. And also when it comes to vegan restaurants that Agnieszka mentioned, it's quite important when it comes to sustainability, because as some of you may know, the production of meat creates about 60% of carbon emission in the world. It's quite a lot. So cutting down on meat and offering vegetarian solutions is a great way of cutting down on CO2 as well. And
here I have to interrupt you because I mentioned about the paper for the conference that the notepads that we are trying to limit to save on paper. That's a very great idea that Paweł is having as well, that can be used as a note paper during the conference, which is called the seat paper.
Yeah, or as your ID badge, actually. So when it comes to planning your event at the hotel, let's say we have a conference happening at DoubleTree, together with Agnieszka, we can obviously create a checklist of what can be sustainable at the hotel, but then also from our side, we can offer you different solutions based on our experience, based on what's possible. And actually, seed paper is something new that's been recently introduced. You can choose what seed you want to have in your paper. There is one exception. There can be no foil on the paper itself when it comes to producing badges for your conference, for example. However, it's very useful because at the very end of the conference, you can take your seed paper, you can take your badge, and you can plant your tree at your home, at your office, in your office, or you can even go outside the hotel to one of the local Krakow parks or before a gala dinner, and you can use already your seed paper to plant some small herbs, outside, and there are definitely a lot of places around Krakow and the area that will be happy to have this, like orphanages, schools, and we did such solutions. But apart from the paper, obviously, we do recommend some simple solutions. When it comes to AV, we do recommend to check whether there's any other conference happening before yours, so we can see if AV can be shared, because that definitely cuts down on the use of electricity. It also cuts down the cost on the setup and dismantling. So it's a lot of help. And also when it comes to, creating banners and any kind of, information signage at the hotel, we can produce it from a recyclable organic cotton or something called HDPE. This is a special formula, banners with latex ink, and they are fully recyclable, and they can be turned into a granulate, and from this granulate you can produce, either a bag or another banner again, or even further, to create a cycle of what's happening to the staff after your event. Once you have used the banners for the conference, you can reuse them and produce, for example, event welcome bags for the following year, for the following conference. So there are a lot of solutions. And also, we recommend using recyclable baboon or cardboard upcycled welcome pack, or as Agnieszka mentioned, reusable water bottles with event branding, and there will be water dispensers located around the hotel to make it much easier.
And something that, again, comes to water and the water bottles, to save on plastic and paper and everything, you can simply put some QR codes on the water bottle, and you can load there every information that you want to put after the conference, like presentations, pictures, etc. So it might be quite a nice souvenir after the conference itself.
Exactly. And when it comes to sustainable solutions that we're really proud of and we are currently promoting, so some of you that knows us already know this idea, a sustainable trade fair concept for one of our events at the beginning of this year. We have developed something called sustainable trade fair. So as you can see, this structure here, this is a trade fair elements that were produced from recycled wood elements, and later on they were turned into dog houses. You can see in the right top corner the picture of the finished dog houses, and they were later donated to a dog shelter outside of Krakow. And it's one of the examples of what can be done. And when it comes to wooden elements that form a scenography, it can be used for the stage, for the signage, for the trade fair area, and we can design it in a way to be later constructed into different things like homes for dogs, homeless cats, or even toys for local orphanages. And obviously, when it comes to other, elements of the scenography, like, for example, greenery plants, we always recommend to donate them to a local school or to a local local community. So do everything we can to make it go round, to make a cycle, to reuse those items again. So when it comes to sustainable transport and tours in Krakow, actually there is really a lot of things we can do to cut down on CO2 emission. First of all, when it comes to the airport itself, it's actually connected with a train to the Krakow Old Town, and takes about 20 minutes by train to get to the Old Town. So you don't necessarily have to order a fleet of buses to get to the city center or to the hotel itself. And as I also mentioned, there is a growing trend of electric buses in Poland. So here is an example of the bus in Krakow.
And actually what I have to mention that in the city of Krakow, basically the whole public transportation is green. It's been done for a couple of last years. So the buses and the trams that are in the city are green. And this is one of the first thing that the city of Krakow did.
Exactly. And, the transport and tour solutions, I mean, we can use them for both cases, for tourists as well. And we have, some amazing things. Not many people know that actually there is a main river of Poland, Vistula, flowing through the city center of Krakow. So we can offer to get to the city center and go around the old town by kayaking, for example. Here is a picture from one of the events, and it can be a sightseeing tour of old town from the kayaks, or it can be used as a local sports activity. Or you can go outside of Krakow to the south. When going to the mountains, you can do mountain rafting. So this is also a very good idea of using something that does not emit CO2 as well. And these form of transportation can be embedded again into our sustainable activities. So as you can see, we are using again our sustainable icons. So once you receive a proposal from us later on, if there's any requests, hopefully, we would mark the slides of different activities with those little icons. So for example, here for the catering, that it's sustainable, that it's local, or that it's environmentally friendly, or there is a local community involved in this project. And when it comes to activities, we strive for offering activities that are local, that are run by local businessmen, by farmers, and there are lots of different things like that around Poland. As Agnieszka mentioned, Poland is really a lot about nature, about going back to the roots. And this is something we want to incorporate into our program. And I think this is actually a great advantage, that there are lots of things that have been there for ages and are still there. And now it can be a hit.
And that's something that hotel and the agency can partner together, because obviously, as I mentioned before, we are having a number of suppliers who are certified with green food production.
Yes.
So that's something that we can work together on, and we can organize, some activities with them when it comes to picking up honey, or growing some, or not maybe growing, but giving some advices on how to grow herbs at home, etc., etc. Because we do work with those people, and we can do it together.
Yeah, exactly. And there are lots of different also solutions for activities that are basically very sustainable. So one of the recent ideas when doing a lot of research, so yeah, some of the things are actually pretty new to us as well. Some of them were basically recently launched in Krakow, and this is something that's been there for some time. We actually have Olympic Village in Krakow, and there is an amazing rafting track. It's actually close to the city center. So one of the latest idea is to combine sustainable Olympics with green competitions. So you can do rafting, hiking. There is a green area where you can plant pots and make recycled crafts out of the items that you have used at the conference. So it could be a green festival after your conference.
And then there is as well 235 kilometers of bicycle routes around the city.
Yeah.
So you can combine it as well.
Yeah, you can go there by bike. As I mentioned before, we did the dog houses donation from the residue trade fair area, and it can be obviously done as a volunteer activity. There are a lot of organizations, dog shelters, and etc., that are very eager to welcome guests to help them with different restoration works with walking dogs. So this is obviously also possible. When I talked about transportation, I mentioned the Melix cars, the electrical cars. They're very often seen in Krakow, and they're fully sustainable because they're obviously run on electricity. And it's a great way of getting to know the old town and the Jewish district called Kazimierz. So we also offer special tours when you can go around the old town on those Melix cars, and also, as Agnieszka mentioned, taste some of the local eco produce that is used by local Polish restaurants. And this is something that's been just opened this year, actually, this July. Just 10 kilometers away from the center of Krakow, we have the largest, actually it's the largest in Poland as well, an eco farm. And it's a city eco farm in the region where a local association is holding workshops of how to grow your own vegetables at home in the city.
On the balcony,
yes.
If you don't have a house.
Or if you have a small garden, or if you have an office with a little garden outside. Obviously, it doesn't have to be eatable instantly, but at least you can get to learn some basic farming skills. So basically how it runs, we have people, the groups can be about 20 to 30 people, and they can go to the eco farm to participate in, in special farming workshops. And this can also be combined with food tasting as well. Yeah. So as those fresh radish that this lady has picked. And just to show you some of the pictures from the farming while tasting as well. And when it comes to biking, like Agnieszka mentioned, you can bike around the city and get to a breathtaking medieval monastery located on a hill overlooking the river. It's called Tyniec. It's about an hour away by bike from the city center of Krakow, and it's also quite sustainable because the monks are organizing their own food workshops. They have their own food shop of regional produce, so you can combine this with tasting and organizing lunch after the trip.
But what is interesting, that's actually the food that they are serving, that's the food that they are growing.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
And delicious wines and delicious alcohols.
Yeah, when it comes to wines, we'll go for this, afterwards. Also, when it comes to CSR and raising awareness of first aid, as I mentioned, Krakow is actually very close to 2 mountain ranges, so you can organize rescue mission workshops in the Polish mountains as well, very close to it. And the wine. Not many people know that there is a new trend of opening wineries because of, unfortunately, changing climate. And there are 3 very big wineries around, vineyards around Krakow you can visit when you can do Polish wine tasting. And surprisingly, it's actually pretty good. So
it is, and it's actually coming back to the history, because in medieval years, Poland was producing delicious wines.
Yeah.
And now, as Paweł mentioned, because of the climate, we can go back to it, and we are growing and we are having again our own wines.
Yes. So, we've mentioned some of the local produce and food tasting. As a result, we can actually combine all of these activities I've talked about into a village day outside of Krakow. So imagine we actually rent a barn or, part of a village outside of Krakow, and we organize special food workshops like doing the dumplings, or you can do different village competitions with picking hay and so on, making flour wreaths as well. So getting to know local producers of food. So something like this is also possible to be done. And obviously, we won't be able to leave this presentation without mentioning the crowning jewel of activities and venues at the same time in Krakow. This is the salt mine, Wieliczka salt mine in Krakow. Obviously, it's possible to do a tour of the salt mine. And from the sustainability point of view, it's very important because the salt mine is still being used. It's still producing salt. And the water that is actually here in the lake, that is used in the salt mine, in the sightseeing part, is also used in the salt mine. So they're using a special joint system for both things that is very sustainable. So from this point of view, you're actually, by visiting it, you're supporting the life of the salt mine itself. And now, important question: how sustainable can a gala dinner venues and gala dinner in Krakow be as well? As I've mentioned, there are quite a lot of amazing venues in Krakow. Like here you can see in the picture the old tram depot, which used to house trains in 19th century, and we have amazing Slovacki theater. Our idea as a DMC is obviously to choose restored venues that are open to sustainable solutions, that want to offer catering with, for example, eatable plate made of oats. It's also possible. There are a lot of different amazing opportunities that you can do at some of the venues. This is an old tram depot from one of the events from January, one of the last events this year we did. And an example of recycled, upcycled events furniture made of from wooden pallets, as an example, or stacks of hay. So you can use the natural components as furniture, which is quite amazing. And you can see vodka stand, vodka party. Actually, vodka is also quite sustainable. I know it's funny, but it is. It's made from potatoes in Poland. And I mentioned Wieliczka salt mine. So it is also obviously a venue. You can host even a gala dinner of up to 400 participants. And it's also a sustainable venue. As I mentioned, they have a water system that pumps up the water throughout the salt mine and the venue and the salt chambers.
And because it is a salt mine, obviously you are having something that is it's really like a microclimate inside, created by the salt itself. And worth mentioning for those who don't know, that is the only place in the world like this.
Exactly. Here we have a museum of archaeology in the old town. It's actually just next to the Wawel Castle with amazing, beautiful, extensive gardens. So it is possible actually to hold, an evening aperitif or, a standing party or even a gala dinner at these gardens. And you can combine it with planting trees there or planting some of the flowers, obviously in cooperation with the museum itself. So you don't really have to, obviously this is in the summer and spring months, you don't really have to rent a venue, use electricity. You can organize something like this here. In one of the first slides, I forgot to mention there was a Slovakia theater. We think this is very sustainable as well, because instead of renting furniture, using extra lights, you use an already existing infrastructure that theater is. And actually, during one of our events a couple of years ago, this happened in Warsaw, what we did, we placed the dinner on the stage of the theater, and the musicians were playing from the audience, so we swapped the roles. And this can also be used as an idea for a sustainable event. And this is something we recently also discovered. It's quite interesting. So just 40 minutes away from the city center of Krakow, there is a collection of caves in something called the Krakow Jura area, where actually you can organize a dinner or meeting in a cave without electricity. So if you're up for adventure and if you want to combine an element, for example, of doing some workshops, first aid or climbing the rocks.
And nature,
pure nature, you can actually host a dinner. It's not for a big group, it's up to 40 people, when you can do a candlelight dinner without electricity, with musicians playing unplugged, and dinner being served from specially prepared eco warm packs, so the food is still obviously warm, but it's possible to do something extraordinary, like
great experience.
Yes, definitely something we'll recommend. And as we've mentioned a couple of times already, we work with aware catering partners who are sustainable as well. So when it comes to creating an idea for a catering of your event, we can make a checklist and find a supplier that will offer special solutions. We'll work with a food bank, for example, in Krakow. So we'll create a menu that could be later donated in case of any residue elements. And now when it comes to, talking about different events, we want to maybe not boast about, but mention one of the events we did last year that was basically based on the sustainability concept. It was a Timberland fashion show and meeting that took place last year. And we even won a Polish Events Award for this event. So we were very proud of what we did there, and we want to present this as a green case study, because every single element that we talked about was incorporated here. First of all, the event took place in June in nature in the protected area, and the idea was to create a special CSR path when the employees would learn about the CSR achievements of the company. And we created this special path with banners that were later recycled. The banners were made of organic cotton, and they were later recycled again. And all the elements like PET bottles and the scenography that you can see here in the picture was also later reused at other events. And even the awards that we had during the evening part of the event was made of wood and moss. And hopefully you'll be able to play a video, because we have a little summary of this event. Yeah, fashion show in nature. At the very end of the conference, the Timberland employees actually went to a local community to plant trees along roads, like municipal roads in the region. So we combined CSR, ecological, scenography solutions and presentation of the woods. And this is one of the pictures that was a product of this event. So one of our first fully sustainable, events that we did, and we were really proud of. So yeah, that's it. Now it's our question and answer time. So thank you very much. And if you'd like to ask some questions now, or exchange some ideas, you're more than welcome.
People have to unmute themselves.
Yes, you have to mute themselves, obviously. So maybe some of you have some questions, or there's something you'd like to hear more about.
Hi, Pavel. I have my first question.
Yes.
You were mentioning about the electric buses, public buses, but do you have any private buses which can be rented for groups which are electric or ecological friendly?
Yeah, so unfortunately, this is the biggest issue we have with transportation right now. When it comes to private buses, it's not possible to rent, electric bus in Krakow or even Warsaw so far. It's difficult to get them. So if you want to create a fully sustainable event, unfortunately, we have to go by public transportation, which is quite easy.
But this is but that's the moment when the hotel can help as well, because we are being part as a hotel. We are being part in the organization which is called Krakow Convention Bureau, and obviously being part of it, we can always assist and organize and support the organizer in arranging the public transportation. First of all, simple things, tickets. That's something that can be arranged by the hotel or with hotel support. Plus we can, if there is a need, we could talk to the city about renting and organizing some transportation with the public transportation.
Yeah, this could be an idea. There's actually, Agnieszka came with an instant solution that we could check with the local bus, the city company that is running buses, whether it'd be possible to rent and run the bus for the event. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I think your city anyway offers so much possibility to walk and reach whatever attractions you have by bike, by boat, or walking. So it's really more about the distances when you go outside.
Yeah, this is definitely a great advantage of Krakow. That, as I mentioned, it's a very compact city. That the old town area is really walkable, or you can go by bike, by the Melik's car, or by a kayak around the old town. So there are many ways that you can avoid a bus or a car.
Any more questions, suggestions?
It doesn't have to be related to Krakow. If you have any other questions, maybe in general about Poland, Warsaw, whatever else, that's definitely a good time to ask them.
Yeah, or maybe just mention as well, Pavel, about the vegan street in Warsaw.
Yeah. It's actually because Krakow, we didn't mention it, but there is something called a vegan street. It's a Poznańska street in the city center of Warsaw, where it's predominantly vegan. There's a dumpling vegan restaurant, vegan sushi, vegan Mediterranean cuisine, vegan pizzeria. So we have created even a vegan street tour where you visit those restaurants and you can get to taste something, and you'll be quite surprised. Some of the stuff really does taste like meat.
But as I mentioned as well about Krakow, it's such a visible trend in the country since a couple of years that the interest in veganism and vegetarianism and any kind of green food is growing rapidly, and it's becoming more like again, like a lifestyle as well. There are more and more people who are very conscious about, what we are doing to the planet, what we are doing to the earth. And I think, this year proved, and our planet told us no more. It gave us a sign that we all have to change something. And yeah, we should be happy about it as well, that hopefully, we are changing our mindset as well.
So do we have any more questions?
No, very interesting. I think you covered a lot of really good points. There was certainly some nice things that you mentioned there that caught my attention as well. So thank you very much.
Yeah, we'll definitely send you a recap of this presentation. We've got your email addresses when you register, so you'll get you'll get this presentation on your email as well, so you can download it and review it in your free time, as it may come in useful for the future. Maybe not even for Krakow, maybe for your own ideas,
no,
in your own countries,
for Krakow
as well. But we want to, I think the point of being sustainable is also to be open and to be able to inspire and to listen proactively to other ideas. So this is obviously what we have gathered so far based on our experience. But as you can see, definitely there are a lot of different options when it comes to transportation, venues, events, furniture, scenography, solutions that can be matched together in a green package and organized in the hotel, for example, at the DoubleTree, or with any offsite events outside as well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was really good to highlight so many really good points. And I really liked from the hotel that the seasonal foods, that you won't bring in strawberries if they're not in season. I think that's a great idea. It's so simple, but yeah, it just makes perfectly good sense to use what's actually in season at that particular time. So some really good ideas from the hotel as well. More than I actually expected to hear. So thank you. It was very good. Very, very good. It's nice to hear.
I really would like to thank you about the presentation, and also I appreciate a lot the synergy between Creative Poland and Hilton, DoubleTree Hilton, because I think that this synergy can deliver definitely a better product overall, because you combine your efforts and your strength to deliver something that is sustainable 360 degrees. So thank you so much for your joint venture.
No, thank you, Elizabeth. I really appreciate it. And as we said at the very beginning, it's really important, to be in this together and to find solution. And I always say that as an agency, we are always an extension of a local team or something else. We have to work together and create some new solutions and think about it. So.
And I am, in the hotel industry for many, many years. And I remember, 20 years ago, hotel was just the hotel, but it's not any longer. It's very much involved as well in the local life of the place where the hotel is located. Plus, obviously, we are having as well as a hotel, and as a hotel from Krakow, for example, we have this local knowledge. We know people locally. We know how to organize many things locally. We know how to combine the clients and the agencies with the local authorities sometimes, if it is needed, like I mentioned, for the public transportation. So we have this local knowledge, and we are not just about the hotel. It's more than this. And that's why we are, partnering today with Creative Poland. But that's our aim as well, to show that it's not only the place to stay, but as Hilton globally, as I mentioned, there is something more behind. So that's why we are, working hand in hand, that at the end of the day, our clients are happy, because that's the most important thing.
Yeah, definitely. And I also wanted to highlight that some of the solutions that you have seen are also possible in other Polish destinations. So it doesn't necessarily have to happen in Krakow. Obviously, Krakow offers a lot of things, but some of the items can be done anywhere in Poland. So we are fully aware, and we are checking what's possible sustainability-wise in some other destinations too.
Yes. Well, very good. Very good.
Thank you so much, guys. It's really excellent presentation. Some insights on the destination, and really impressive. So yeah, thank you for your time.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for participating, because we do understand that a lot of people are already fed up with webinars and with listening to different things, and we do understand that. So even more huge thanks from our side that you have taken the time of your schedule to be with us today here.
And hopefully next time in person.
Yes.
Yeah, would be great. Yeah.
Yes. Both eyes on us at DoubleTree.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pavel, when it's safe to travel, we'll bring the UK agencies out to Poland, and we'll come in and enjoy a drink at the DoubleTree. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you.
The invitation is already on.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much, Pavel. It's been very interesting. Thank you.
Thank you very much, guys. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Pavel, for the ideas on sustainability. It's a great idea. So thank you.
Thank you.
You're more than welcome. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Take care.